Okay, picture this. You've been on a ship for weeks, maybe months. You left behind everything, your home, your family, your whole life, because you heard that somewhere across the ocean, there's a place where you actually get a shot, a real shot. You're exhausted, you're scared, and then you see her, rising right out of the water, a woman the size of a 22-story building, torch held high, looking right at you. And for millions of people, that moment wasn't just pretty, it was everything. But here's what most people don't know. This icon almost never happened. She was born from a wild dinner party idea, nearly ran out of money twice, and the country she was gifted to almost turned her down. Today, we're going back to the beginning, the real story of the Statue of Liberty, where she came from, how she got built, and why, over 130 years later, she still means something. Let's get into it. It's 1865. The Civil War just ended. America is finally free. All of it. And across the Atlantic, a French political thinker named Edouard de La Boulaye is absolutely fired up about it. La Boulaye loved America, like genuinely obsessed. He'd written books about it. He believed American democracy was the best proof in the world that freedom could actually work. And one night, at a dinner party at his estate outside Paris, he floated an idea. What if France and America, two countries that had always admired each other, created something together? A monument, a gift, something that said, "This is what freedom looks like." One of the guests at that dinner was a young sculptor named Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, and that idea, it stuck with him like crazy. For years, Bartholdi sketched and dreamed. He traveled to America in 1871 to pitch the concept. In the moment his ship came through New York Harbor, he spotted the perfect location. Bedloe's Island, small, right in the middle of the harbor, visible from everywhere. He basically pointed at it and said, "That's where she goes." The vision was set. Now came the hard part. Here's something that'll blow your mind. The Statue of Liberty is basically a giant copper skin stretched over a steel skeleton, and the two guys who designed those two things had never really worked together before. Bartholdi handled the outside. He modeled her face. Some historians think it was based on his own mother. He obsessed over every detail, the expression, the crown, the torch. But he needed someone to figure out how to make a 151-foot copper statue actually stand up without falling over. Enter Gustave Eiffel. Yeah, the same guy who later built the Eiffel Tower. He designed the internal iron framework, basically a giant spine that lets Lady Liberty flex slightly in the wind instead of cracking apart. That wasn't just clever, that was genius. The copper sheets covering her body, each one was hand-hammered into shape by craftsmen in Paris. They built her in sections, first in France, tested her out, then took her apart, packed her into 214 crates, and shipped her across the Atlantic. And here's the kicker. France paid for the statue, but America had to pay for the pedestal, and raising that money was a disaster. Congress wouldn't fund it. Wealthy donors dragged their feet. New York, Boston, and Philadelphia actually got into an argument over who should keep the statue if New York couldn't raise the cash. This thing almost ended up in Boston. What saved it? A newspaper. A guy named Joseph Pulitzer. Yes, that Pulitzer ran a campaign in his paper, the New York World. He called out the rich people for not donating, and he made a promise. He'd print the name of every single person who gave money, no matter how small. Over 120,000 people responded. Kids sent nickels, workers sent dollar bills. Ordinary Americans funded the pedestal, one small donation at a time. That's kind of poetic, right? A monument to freedom funded by the people. The 214 crates arrived in America in 1885, and assembly on the island was not exactly smooth. Workers had to build the pedestal first, 89 feet of granite and concrete, and then start attaching the copper sections on top of the steel frame. It was slow, it was dangerous, and it took another year. But on October 28, 1886, she was ready. President Grover Cleveland presided over the dedication. Hundreds of boats filled the harbor. Thousands of people packed the island and the surrounding shores, and when the veil dropped from her face, the crowd went absolutely wild. Ships blew their horns, cannons fired, people screamed. Here's a detail nobody talks about. Women weren't allowed on the island for the ceremony. The only women who got close were a group of suffragists who chartered a boat and circled the island, protesting the irony. A statue of a woman representing liberty. At an event, women weren't welcome to attend. They had a point. Her official name, by the way, is Liberty Enlightening the World. The tablet she's holding? Engraved with July 4th, 1776, in Roman numerals. The broken chains at her feet, not always visible from a distance, represent freedom from oppression. And that torch, it's meant to light the way. Starting in the 1890s, something shifted. Ellis Island, right next door, became the main entry point for immigrants coming into America. Between 1892 and 1954, about 12 million people passed through there. And the first thing many of them saw, the very first landmark, was her. She became a symbol, not just of America, but of hope, of arrival, of making it. Emma Lazarus wrote a poem that was later engraved on the pedestal. You probably know the most famous lines. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. She didn't write that for tourists. She wrote it for people fleeing poverty, violence, and oppression, for people who had nothing left to lose. For those folks, Lady Liberty wasn't just a cool statue. She was a promise. That emotional connection, that weight, is a big part of why she became one of the most recognized images on the planet. All right, let's hit some facts you probably didn't know. 1. She's not gold. She's not even green originally. The statue is made of copper, and when she was unveiled, she was a shiny reddish brown, like a brand new penny. It took about 20 to 30 years for the patina to turn her that iconic green. 2. Lightning hits her about 600 times a year. She's basically a giant lightning rod, and she's fine with it. 3. Her shoe size. If Lady Liberty were a real person, she'd wear a size 879. That's not a typo. 4. The crown has 7 spikes. They represent the 7 seas and 7 continents. She's welcoming the whole world. 5. You used to be able to climb all the way up into the torch, but after a 1916 explosion caused by German agents during World War I, the torch was permanently closed to visitors. Nobody's been up there in over 100 years. 6. She sways. In high winds, the statue can move up to 3 inches. That's the Eiffel-designed frame doing its job. 7. She's been closed a lot. After September 11th, after Hurricane Sandy, during COVID, but she always reopens. More than 130 years later, the Statue of Liberty is still one of the most visited monuments in the world. About 4 million people come to see her every year. But beyond tourism, she still carries weight. Every time there's a debate in America about immigration, about who belongs, about what freedom actually means, she shows up in the conversation. People quote her, people photograph her, people protest near her. In 1986, for her centennial, she got a major restoration. New torch, new internal structure. In 2019, a brand new museum opened on Liberty Island. She's been on stamps, coins, movie posters, album covers. She's been the image politicians use when they want to look patriotic, and the image protesters use when they want to call out hypocrisy. That's actually kind of remarkable. A symbol that belongs to everyone, means different things to different people, and still sparks real conversation. That's not nothing. That's actually really hard to do. So the next time you see her, in a photo, in a movie, or if you're lucky enough to be standing right there in the harbor, maybe think about the full story. A French dinner party, a passionate sculptor, an engineer who built a giant spine, thousands of workers, 120,000 small donations, millions of immigrants, over a century of history. She's not just a statue, she's a whole story about what people can build when they believe in something bigger than themselves. And that torch? Still up, still lit. Thanks for watching. If you got something out of this, share it with someone. And we'll see you in the next one.